before we start the Sunnah, as usual, to continue with our Thursday night series of the lives of the great luminaries. And I shared with you the life of Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah ta'ala, his advices and his accomplishments and his piety and his contributions to the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we are in the last stages of the life of Imam al-Shafi'i rahimahullah ta'ala, who was born the same year in which Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah ta'ala had passed away. Now, from amongst the A'imma Arba'ah, the most senior of them all is Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah. And if you recall, when I was sharing with you his life, I mentioned his interactions with Imam Malik rahimahullah a few times. So that shows that Imam Malik rahimahullah ta'ala is older than Imam al-Shafi'i rahimahullah. So the second oldest is Imam Malik. And he has written a great monumental book of hadith by the name of Al-Muwatta. And that book is being taught almost in every single Islamic institution, including the Arabian countries, in Mecca and Medina especially. That's how widely accepted that book of hadith is of his. And then it's Imam al-Shafi'i rahimahullah, who's a third in terms of age. And then it's Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal rahimahullah ta'ala. So my brothers and elders, in Hilyatul Awliya, written by Abu Nu'aym rahimahullah, he narrates a narration from Imam al-Muzani. Imam al-Muzani was the uncle of the great Imam al-Tahawi rahimahullah. And these names are very important for you and I to know, because these people, they gave up their time, they gave up their lives, they sacrificed their health and they sacrificed their wealth just so that the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal can be preserved for you and I. He wrote, Imam al-Tahawi rahimahullah has written a book by the name of Aqidah al-Tahawiyah, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, right, over 1,000 years ago. And that book up until today is being taught. It's being taught. Anyone who wants to understand his faith and his aqidah, his list of belief, his creed, he's dependent on the book of Imam al-Tahawi rahimahullah ta'ala. So Imam al-Tahawi rahimahullah ta'ala's uncle was Imam al-Muzani. Imam al-Muzani rahimahullah ta'ala narrates from Imam al-Shafi'i, who was a contemporary scholar at the time of Imam al-Shafi'i rahimahullah. He says that Imam al-Shafi'i used to advise the people, and he used to say to them that, listen, man wa'adha akhahu sirran faqad nasahahu, that the person who gives advice and the one who admonishes his Muslim brother in secret, then he's actually wishing well for that person. And then he says, wazanahu, and if you advise someone, or if you ever have to advise someone, do it in secret. Do not pinpoint their mistakes in public. Why? Because we need to protect their reputation. And then he says, وَمَنْ وَعَظَهُ عَلَانِيَةً, the person who advises others for the wrong that they have done in public, فَقَدْ فَضَحَهُ, for verily he has exposed that wrong that he has done. Whereas in the deen of Allah, we need to not expose, and we need to hide the wrong that others do. And then he says, وَخَانَهُ, and he has betrayed him. And he has betrayed him also as a Muslim brother. In other words, sincere advice is only given in private, not in public when someone does wrong. So according to Imam al-Shafi'i rahimahullah ta'ala, the person who does wrong, if anyone wants to advise that individual, then do so in private. Ibn Rajab al-Hanbali rahimahullah ta'ala writes in his book, the difference between an-nasiha and ta'yir. These are two different terminologies in Arabic that you will come across. Nasiha means to give advice and to wish well for someone. And a ta'yir means that you put shame on someone. Some advices contain shaming someone. From the outside, it looks like the person is actually giving them an advice, But deep down, even though maybe that might not be his intention, Allah Azza wa Jal knows the fact that you are pinpointing that wrong of his in public, then you are actually putting blame on him. You're not giving him nasiha, you're giving him at-ta'yir. So Imam Ibn Rajab al-Hanbali rahimahullah says that our pious predecessors, he writes in his book that the Salaf used to love that their sincere advice would be فيما بين الآمر والمأمور, between him and the person that he's advising, and it was always done in private. It was always done in private. And therefore Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah ta'ala says that keep these advices in private so that you can protect the reputation and the honor of your Muslim brother. Now, my brothers and elders, there are three terminologies that I would like to share with you. The first one is as-sakha. Sakha means sakhi, which means generous, a person who's generous. Al-jud, it also means someone who is a generous person. Al-ithar also means for someone to be generous, but in the Arabic language, these three words have a difference. As-sakha or as-sakhi is a person who gives his wealth without any hardship. So for example, a person has $1 million and he gives $5,000 in sadaqah, for example, out of that million. Is he going out of his way to give that sadaqah? No. He's not going out of his way, and he's not going through any difficulty. He will still be able to provide for his families. He will still have plenty of money for investments. He is a sakhi person. He gave for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. Allah Azza wa Jal will reward him. So this type of person is known as as-sakhi. And this amal that he has done is known as as-sakha, that he gave while he was in comfort zone, while he was in his comfort zone financially. The second level is al-jud, which means to give abundantly, but at the same time a person leaves some for his family members. For example, Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu's incident that we know, he gave half of his wealth for the sake of Allah, and the other half, Jazakumullah, and the other half, he hoarded it and saved it for his family members. Right? This is known as al-jud. Another one is al-ithar, which means prioritizing others over your own needs. So when the Sahaba radiallahu anhum were in the process of being purified, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was working on them spiritually, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's intention was not to make them sakhi or to give them the quality of jud. His intention was to give them ithar, that they have to or they should give up everything for the sake of Allah. And then Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu later on also gave everything up for the sake of Allah. We all know that. 2.5 years ago when I shared with you his life, at that time I mentioned everything in details. Now Imam al-Shafi'i rahimahullah ta'ala, and this word وَيُؤْثِرُونَ عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ is mentioned in the Quran. Allah mentions that one of the qualities of the true believers, and He's specifically referring to the Sahaba, advising you and I that we also should have this quality of ithar, and He says that they prefer others over themselves, وَلَوْ كَانَ بِهِمْ خَصَاصَةً, even though they may have need of their own. When the Muhajirun migrated to Madinatul Munawwara, the Ansar, the helpers, the Sahaba who were there, who were set, they were established in their life. Many of them gave up the food that they would have just so that they can feed their Muslim brother who migrated from Makkah, but they themselves would sleep on an empty stomach. This is known as ithar. This is known as ithar. Imam al-Shafi'i rahimahullah ta'ala went to Yemen, and when they found out that he's the man, the great scholar al-Shafi'i, the talk of the town, everyone gathered around him and they started to give him gifts. And remember, Imam al-Shafi'i rahimahullah ta'ala did not grow up with a father. He grew up without a father. His father passed away at a very young age. And he was from Gaza, from Palestine. And his mother, rahimahullah, may Allah have mercy on her, traveled just so that she can teach him the deen of Allah by making sure that he's accompanied by the great righteous scholars of that time. Now Imam al-Shafi'i rahimahullah ta'ala received all that wealth. Imagine someone who lived his whole entire life in poverty. He went through a lot of struggles. His mom was not able to provide for him financially. She struggled. Now that he became this great Imam, the people of Yemen are giving him so much wealth that he probably has never ever seen in his entire life. He gave it all up for the sake of Allah. He donated it, and then he went back home. And when he went back home, he mentioned this to his mother. She said, how was their trip to Yemen? He said that the people gave me so much respect. They gave me so much wealth. She said, what did you do to it? He said, Mom, I gave it up for the sake of Allah. And she said, exactly. That's exactly what I wanted you to do. That's exactly what I wanted you to do. They had this element and this quality of ithar, that they used to always prefer others over their own needs. And in today's society, wallahi, we are taught the total opposite. We're taught the total opposite. And many of us are such that we're taught even the opposite of the opposite when we are constantly being told that it's none of your business to help him, or that he's struggling because of his own fault. He's struggling because of his own actions. Let him struggle. While we watch our Muslim brothers and sisters struggle, whether it's financially or emotionally, psychologically, right? Regardless of the type of issue that they are going through or problem that they are going through, as long as I am in my comfort zone, that's all that matters. And then there are those of us who are very judgmental of others. We do not view others for the problems that they have in their life. And when someone does something that they're not supposed to, or they are going through something because of their own actions, while you and I are in our comfort zone, we're not going through any financial difficulties, we're not going through family problems, we're not going through any issues, it's very easy for us to judge them because we're standing in our comfort zone. Had we been in their shoes, probably we would have been even worse. So the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, my brothers and elders, constantly teaches us ithar. That the first step is sakha, then al-jud, then ithar. And this was something that our pious predecessors, and especially the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, they all had, that they would always give everything up for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they would ensure that many of us, my brothers and elders, personally I have seen this also, we're ready to help, right? We will help an institution, right? We will give a very handsome amount of charity to an organization. But when it comes to our own local brothers and sisters, and especially family members who are struggling, forget them. Forget them. When Imam al-Shafi'i rahimahullah ta'ala was giving out that wealth in Yemen, he did not go to the masjid or an institution. He made sure that he found those who were worthy of that wealth and that they were in need, and he gave them that money in their hand so that they can fulfill their needs with it. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant me and all of us the ability and the tawfiq to follow the footsteps of our pious predecessors and to follow the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Wa akhiru da'wana an alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Jazakumullahu khairan.